Here we have a match between a Gardevoir EX deck and a Dragapult EX deck. Professor Jack draws a card for his turn and then plays Ultra Ball, discarding a Nest Ball and an Earthen Vessel. He searches for a Dusknoir and then shuffles his deck. He then plays Rare Candy to evolve into Dusknoir, then evolves his active Pokémon into Dragapult EX and attaches a Psychic Energy and a Sparkling Crystal to it. Then he uses Dusknoir's Cursed Blast ability to place 13 damage counters onto Professor Iron's Radiant Greninja, knocking it out. Each professor takes one prize card. The Droopy Professor Jack got from the prizes goes onto the bench, and then he plays Iono. He shuffles his 0-card hand and places it on the bottom of his deck. He uses the ability Recon Directive and takes a Rescue Board, which he attaches to his benched Fezandipiti. He then attacks using Dragapult EX's Phantom Dive attack, placing 6 damage counters onto Drifloon to knock out both it and the active Screamtail. He takes 2 prize cards, and Professor Iron promotes a Curlier. Here we have a match between a Gardevoir EX deck and a Palkia V-Star and Greninja EX deck. Professor Iron draws a card for their turn, and then attaches an Ancient Booster Energy Capsule to Screamtail. They then play Artisan. Then they play Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking and search their deck for 2 cards. They then shuffle their deck and offer it to their opponent to cut, but their opponent does not take them up on this opportunity. Professor Iron then places the 2 cards on top of their deck, and then uses the ability Concealed Cards to draw those 2 cards. They then play Rare Candy to evolve into Gardevoir, and their opponent helpfully places an ability counter. Professor Iron then uses Artisan to search their deck for a basic Pokémon. They find a Ralts and place it on their bench. Professor Iron then uses the ability Psychic Embrace. They attach 1 energy onto their active Drifloon, and 3 energies onto their benched Screamtail. They then attack with Balloon Blast for the knockout with weakness. They then take their 2 prize cards and add them to their hand, and end their turn. This match is between a Hydrapple EX deck and a Dragapult EX deck. Professor Iron draws a card for turn, and then uses Teal Mask Ogerpon EX's Teal Dance ability to draw a card. They then play Bug Catching Set, and look at the top 7 cards of their deck, taking a Grass Energy and another Ogerpon. They play the Ogerpon to their bench, and then use its Teal Dance ability. They Teal Dance once more, and then evolve their Hoothoot into Noctowl. They use its Jewel Seeker ability to search their deck for 2 trainer cards. After consulting their hand, they take an Ultra Ball and a Rare Candy. Absent-mindedly, they shuffle their deck before remembering that they're going back in, they play the Ultra Ball, discarding a cancelling Cologne and an energy. However, they fail to find a Pokémon. They play Rare Candy and evolve their benched Applin to Hydrapple EX. They use the active Hydrapple's Ripening Charge ability to attach an energy, then use this ability again with the benched Hydrapple. Then they play Glass Trumpet and attach a Grass energy to Noctowl. They play another bug catching set and find 2 Grass energies. They use one of these energies to use their last Teal Dance and then manually attach an energy to Hydrapple. Finally, they attack using Hydrapple EX's Syrup Storm attack for the knockout on Professor Jack's Dragapult EX. This lets them take their final prize cards to win the game. Now we move to side events, where we have a feature match between Professor Iron's colourless deck and Professor Jack's psychic deck. Professor Iron draws a card per turn, and then uses Cincino's Make Do ability, discarding a Buddy Buddy Poffin. They play a Spursha City Gym, removing Professor Jack's Dimension Valley. Then they play an Ultra Ball, discarding a Ditto and a Level Ball. They search their deck and find a Delcatty, the best Pokémon. Using Delcatty's Search for Friends ability, they search their discard pile for a Raihan and play it. After consulting their hand and almost searching their deck instead of their discard, they attach a Fire energy to their active Fletchinder. To complete Raihan, they search their deck for a card. They then play the Rare Candy they found to evolve their benched unidentified fossil into an Archeops. They then play Evo Soda to find a Talonflame to evolve their active Fletchinder. There is a momentary discussion between the professors, where Professor Jack clarifies that the benched Garbodor does not have a tool attached to it. As such, Professor Iron uses Archeops' Primal Turbo to attach a powerful and a gift energy to itself. Professor Jack cuts the deck so that his opponent can use Bibarel's Industrious Incisors ability to draw until there are 5 cards in the Professor's hand. Professor Iron then almost uses Make Do, but on Professor Jack's advice, chooses not to add another rules violation to this video. Finally, they attack with Nitro Dive to knock out their opponent's Trevenant to take their last prize and win the game. Returning to the main event, we have a match between a Dialga V-Star deck and a Lost Box deck. Professor Jack draws for turn, then uses Comfy's Flower Selecting ability. He looks at the top 2 cards of his deck, places a Comfy in the Lost Zone and the other card in his hand. He uses Switch Cart to swap to a different Comfy, and uses its ability too. He attaches a rescue board to the Comfy and retreats it, enabling him to use a third flower selecting. He plays Lost Vacuum, sending Switch Cart to the Lost Zone, targeting his own rescue board. He counts the cards in his Lost Zone, confirming he is at 10 cards. He plays Mirage Gate, attaching a lightning energy to the active Comfy and a psychic energy to the benched Sableye. He plays Super Rod to return a Cramorant and a water energy to his deck. Professor Iron cuts his deck, while Professor Jack rearranges his discard pile. He plays Switch to send in the Sableye, and then throws his Comfy on the floor. Finally, he ends his turn by attacking with Sableye's Lost Mine attack, placing 2 damage counters on Radiant Greninja and the remainder on Matang, knocking both out and giving him 2 prize cards. Finally, we have our finals match between a Dialga V-Star deck and a Snorlax deck. Professor Jack draws for turn, and then plays Hisuian Heavy Ball. He looks through his prizes and takes a Mimikyu. He attaches a Bravery Charm to the active Snorlax and then plays Temple of Sinnoh. Followed by everyone's favourite card, Crushing Hammer. He, of course, flips heads and removes an energy from Dialga V-Star. He then plays a second hammer and again flips heads, removing a second energy. He then plays Nest Ball and searches his deck for a basic Pokémon. However, he fails to find one. He plays Pokegear 3.0 and finds nothing but supporters. He selects the Eri. He plays Delivery Drone, and flips another 2 heads, making that 4 heads in a row. He searches his deck for an card and selects a Nest Ball. Then plays it. However, again, he fails to find. He plays Palpad, but then realises that this is not a legal play, as there are no supporters in his discard pile, so Professor Iron agrees he may return it to his hand. He then plays Super Rod to return a Pidgeot V, a Chi-Yu EX, and a basic Fire Energy to his deck. After some deliberation, he plays Hand Trimmer. The two professors consider their hands and select cards to discard. Both players now have 5 cards in their hand. Professor Jack then plays the Pal Pad, which now has targets in Eri and Penny. He plays Pokegear, finding a Silene, which he adds to his hand. He plays Misfortune Sisters, and looks at the top 5 cards of Professor Iron's deck, discarding an Ultra Ball and a Superior Energy Retrieval. Professor Iron then shuffles their deck. And so does Professor Jack. And it's finished off with a cut. He plays Countercatcher to switch in Professor Iron's Metang. And finally ends his turn by using Rotom V's instant charge ability to draw 3 cards from his deck.